Jai Hind everyone. Myself Dr. Inderjeet Kaur, Professor at Computer Science and Engineering Department at Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. In this lecture, we will be discussing about how testing is being done in software engineering. In the last lecture, we discussed about what is testing, the importance of testing, which phase comes under SDLC when we are proceeding, and then the types of testing. So, in this lecture, we are going to discuss about the alpha and beta testing of the products. So, if we start from the levels of testing, that is, we start with the unit testing that comes first. Then at the second, we proceed for integration testing. At the third go, we go for system testing, and then finally we proceed for acceptance testing, that whether our system is being accepted or not, and that can be done through alpha testing or beta testing. Let us start with the unit testing. It is also called the module testing. Module testing means when I am going to test the individual module functionality. Means, suppose, take the example, suppose I am going to write the program for designing a calculator. So, how I will be proceeding? I will be proceeding by writing its sub-modules. I will be writing the program for addition, sub-module for subtraction, sub-module for multiplication, sub-module for division, then for square root, then for factorial, and so on, whichever functions I want in my calculator program. So, when I have written it, and then when I am going to check their functionality, whether they are being working properly, so that is known as the functional testing also. Checking modules functionality either through black box testing or through white box testing, or doing it through boundary value analysis or checking at robustness, that will be taken care in the next classes. So, then after checking the independent modules, we will be proceeding how they are behaving when we are integrating the two modules together. So, are they giving some error? Are they giving some fault, or they are giving the correct results? So, then we proceed for the system testing. When all the modules are being integrated and when I am going to import the libraries, then how my system is behaving, that is known as the system testing. These all testing, they are being done at the developer side. Then we proceed, after this system testing is successful, we proceed for the fourth level, that is the acceptance testing. This acceptance testing means whatever I have developed, whatever developer has developed in the design phase of SDLC, now whether it should be accepted by the customer or whether there are some modifications being required. So, that can be done either through alpha testing or through beta testing. Acceptance testing is first proceeded by the alpha testing. This alpha testing is the process of testing, finding the bugs by the developer end. Means the developer himself is testing at his own end before delivering it to the customer, the final project. That is my alpha testing. And this beta testing, suppose we have given our module to the customer, to the user who is going to use it, and give us the feedback. So, when we are doing like that, that is known as the beta testing. So, as to come to know about the little users, some portion of users, how feedback they are giving. So, that is known as the beta testing. So, if we define the alpha testing, means we can say this is completed on an application towards the end of the development process. When all the modules have been written, when they are being integrated, and when we have proceeded for the system testing. Means when the product is almost in a usable state, then we are going for alpha testing. Now, this alpha testing, it is performed by the software test engineers or the software quality analyst engineers. This is conducted in a controlled environment. We know which type of values we are going to give it as an input and which type of output we should get. Then the developer is present to observe the users and he is aware of all the problems that are arising. Then it is carried out before the release of the software to the customers, and in this testing all the errors and failures that are being recorded, they are being noted, and then we proceed further. Then what is the approach for doing the alpha testing? See, it is performed to identify the bugs before we release the product to the real users, to the public, and it is one of the user acceptance testing. Generally, software developers in their company, they use the term UAT. This UAT stands for user acceptance testing. See, this is the development house, means this is at the developer side. Firstly, we are having requirements in our mind and they are being communicated. This is the customer. They have communicated their requirements to the developer. So this is my SDLC, software development process. This is going on, and when the software is finally developed, here I am having the software application. So when the software application is being developed now the developers, various developer, it is not only one developer will check. A team of developer, they will test their developed application in a controlled environment before giving it to some third party, before giving it to the customers. This is the approach for doing alpha testing. After this comes out to be successful, then we should proceed for performing the beta testing, so that we should also know how the feedback we are being getting for our developed software, whether it is usable or it requires some changes. Then moving on to the phases of alpha testing. This is being done in two phases. So if we discuss the first phase, that is the initial alpha testing, it is being done by the internal developers. This is the developer team. They are going to develop a software application. So when they are developing, they are also checking it for errors. Then this is being handed over to the testing team. This testing team, they are going to critically analyze this software application. This is my second phase. Testing of the application means it is being tested by the developers already, and now it is being handed over to the testing team and they will be checking it for the errors. This is my first phase and this is my second phase. Then if we discuss the initial testing that is being done by the internal developers, we can also say it is my first phase of alpha testing, and it consists of internal developers of organization. They are being responsible for conducting this initial alpha testing. Then this technique, it is being used for debugging the software to locate the bugs. Then moving on to the second, that is testing of application by testers. I can say this is my second phase. The developers tested software, it is handed over to the testing team or quality analyst team for performing the additional testing which are being left out by the developer side, or we can say they are being tested against the real-time user requirements and needs. Rather than giving it into the control environment, now they are being handed over to an open environment, real-time environment. So let us discuss the alpha testing process. We started with the requirement review. That was our first phase. We reviewed all the gathered requirement. See, when we are going to develop any kind of software application, we will first discuss it with the customer. He has given me, suppose I am developing the student result management system. So, when I am going to develop this application, I will gather which kind of outputs the student wants to get it on the website. Which type of result, means he should enter his roll number, then if a faculty is using, then it can be obtained class wise, section wise. So, all kind of reports can be available. So, firstly, we should be reviewing all the requirements that we have gathered. After reviewing means, now we are able to think. We means we as a developer now are in a condition to think ki what can be the logic to get to fulfill these kind of requirements. Then second, after the requirements are being reviewed and the module is being developed. So, developed module is here, and then we start with the test execution. Means different kind of test cases are being generated to test our developed software application. So, they are known as test cases, and this process is known as test execution. Then, if we are able to get any kind of defects, means lodging of defect is there, then if we are getting the defects, then they should be fixed. Means we should proceed for the next process, that is bug fixation. If there comes any bug, of course they are being fixed, and then the system should be retested. So, it is again retested. Retested means the test cases will be again done. It will be retested by testing the again for the test cases. Then discuss the second type of testing, that is my beta testing. This beta testing, it comes after performing the alpha testing. It is also a kind of UAT, or I can say it is a second phase of after performing my alpha testing. So, it is performed by the client of software application in the real time environment, and I can say it is a kind of external UAT. That alpha testing was my internal UAT. This was my alpha, and this is my beta. I can say it is external UAT. Then, when I have said that it is an external UAT and customer is going to do it, so it is done by the customer side. It is performed by the customer. Take the example of Yahoo Messenger. A beta version of Yahoo Messenger was being released, so as the different users can check it, use it, and then report for the errors if there are. Then it is conducted in real-time environment. It is not under developer control. And I can say in this beta testing, the developer is not present. Means who has written the code is not present. Fine. Then it is carried out after the release of the software to the customer, and here also errors and failures, they are being reported. Then moving on to the procedure for performing the beta testing. This starts with the project planning. The first phase is project planning. Means the company sets the objectives for achieving the goals with the rules. Then, now the goals are being finalized, rules are being finalized. Then next is who are going to perform this, that is recruiting of participants, making the team. Means we will be calling the tester using the incomplete version of product and then providing the feedback about the developed software application. Then when we have made a testing team, means we have collected the different users. Then third is distributing this different version of product. Product is updated and it is provided to the beta users to share their experience. Then next task comes collecting the feedback. Feedback is gathered in the form of suggestions, comments, bugs, reports and codes. Then fifth is to evaluate this collected feedback, means the feedback is reviewed for the improvements. Then the types of beta testing. The first kind is traditional beta testing. The product is distributed to the market and it is gathered related data for the product improvement. We have handed over it to the customer, the software application that is being developed, it is handed over to the customers and now we are in a situation to gather the feedback kind of data for our improvement of the product. Then second is performing the public beta testing, means the product is publicly released to the outside world via online channels or gathered for improvements. Generally, take the example of Microsoft. It conducted largest beta test for OS Windows 8 before officially releasing it. Generally, what the companies do, they just do the public beta testing before releasing any kind of software officially. They just gather the feedback, take the suggestions, by giving it to the viewers so that they can have the scope of improvements before they release it officially. Then third is technical beta testing, means the product is released to the internal group and the feedback is being taken from its employees. Then moving on to the focused beta. Focused beta is the product is released to the market for gathering the feedback on its specific features. Then fifth kind, post-release beta, means the product is released and gathered data to make the improvements for the future release. These are the different types of performing the beta testing. So if we differentiate among the alpha testing and beta testing, taking care of test goals, then alpha testing, it evaluates the quality of the product, whereas beta testing, it evaluates the customer satisfaction. Performing beta testing means is to have more customers. When we want our product is being released before officially, we want it should be distributed to more and more customers. Then our motto is to have customer satisfaction. Then alpha testing, it ensures the beta readiness, means our product is ready to deliver to the customer. So if we fail in performing the alpha testing, then we can say that the product can be given to the beta testers, means the product can be handed over to the users. It should be beta ready first. That's the main reason for performing the alpha testing. Then beta testing, it ensures the release readiness for the product launch. So firstly, alpha testing should succeed. That means now the product can proceed for performing beta testing. So when we get success in doing the beta testing, that means now the product can be promoted for production launch. Then alpha testing focus is on finding the bugs, whereas the beta testing, when we are doing, the focus is on collecting the suggestions, collecting the feedback and effectively evaluating it. Alpha testing means, does the product work? It talks about the working of the developed module. Whereas beta testing, it talks, do the customers like the product, how it being improved. Then moving on to the pros and cons, alpha testing, it talks about the reliability of the software. User gets high quality services and completing functionality. By performing alpha testing, we can go for finding the errors and bugs almost being removed and the software is being used. When we are moving on to the beta testing, the advantages is we are improving the quality. We are talking that the problem is fixed before the software is released to the market, and we are talking about increasing the customer satisfaction and goodwill. Then the drawback for this alpha testing is in-depth functionality of the software is not tested in developing stage, and it is totally depending upon the customer feedback participation. If the customers, they are not giving feedback, beta testing will fail. Then alpha testing, it involves both white box and black box. Alpha testing performed by testers, it is performed at developer side and it checks the reliability and security. And if we talk about the beta testing, it generally opts for the black box. It is not aware ki what is the function of those modules. It is performed by the clients. It is performed at the end user part, and it talks about the reliability, security and robustness. So if we take the numerical, a function that computes the roots of the quadratic equation ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, and the function, it stores two real roots, root 1 and root 2, that checks the validity of roots, and it handles four kind of cases. First is when the coefficient is 0 irrespective of discriminant, when the discriminant is positive, when the discriminant is 0, and when the discriminant is negative. Only in the second and third case the roots are valid, otherwise they are being 0 and they are being stored in the roots. The function returns 0 when the roots are valid, and it returns -1 otherwise. The function also ensures that root 1 is greater than or equal to root 2, and the software test engineers is assigned the job for doing black box testing. So when he is doing that, he comes out to be writing the different test cases. Many of them are redundant. So what we have to do? We have to find a set of non-redundant test cases using the equivalence class partitioning approach for black box testing. So when we are doing it, we are generating these 6 test cases by taking the value. Suppose I have taken A, B and C 0, 0 and 7 boundaries. Then what's the value of root 1 and root 2 coming and how they are being returning. Then second test case, the values are being taken 0, 1, 3 and the roots are taken 0, 0. Then in the T3, test case 3, the values are taken 1, 2 and 1. T4, the values are taken 1 negative and roots are floating, defined as float. Then the fifth case, 2 numbers are negative, and in the last case they are being taken as 1, 1, 4. These are the cases of non-redundant test cases. Thank you. This was all about alpha and beta testing.